Welcome back to the Intense Podcast. I'm your host, Robbie. Across from me is my co-host, Dusty Nixon, all the way in Texas. And it's nice to see you again. Not even a week from the last time I saw you.
Yeah, we physically saw each other in person for... I was thinking about it on the way up there for the first time in like 2 years.
It has been a while. And then, of course, it was like a flying trip, and I'm a zombie at that point, and I'm just like, I got a long drive to go. Well, thanks. See ya. But yeah, foreshadowing. We'll talk about that later. But yes, it was very good to see you. Don't have a whole lot. It's kind of the off season, so it's just like building season and money spending season and being cold and sick and tired all the time.
Yeah, it finally, the last 5 days, it finally got cold enough here that I'm like, it's cold. I'm over it. It's cold.
Yeah, when you made a comment about like, yeah, it's been 80 in Texas, my heart bled for you. Yeah, it really did. Yeah. My condolences. When I woke up to drive to you, it was 19 degrees.
Yeah, so we had a couple of things planned in October, and I was thinking like, October, fall, all right, it was still like 85 degrees.
And then, that sounds wonderful, actually.
And then, all of a sudden just a switch flipped, and we went from highs in the 80s to like 40 in the span of 2 days. Yeah, of course. Yeah, my body rejects that. It's like, oh, now you're just gonna feel like hell. I don't know why. It may be a head cold, it may be this, it may be that. I don't know. Maybe you have the flu. I don't know. But whenever you wake up in the morning, it's not going to feel like you slept at all, and it's gonna feel like somebody beat you with a bat the entire time you were in there.
Yep. Yeah, Gabby has taken it upon herself it's cold, so she has to try to get under the covers, and then she'll decide now she's too hot. So then, and for those that aren't paying attention, that's my dog. The one we rescued.
I knowing the full story, also did a momentary like, oh yeah, that's the new dog, right?
The new dog, yes. The one that showed up here in March and then never left. Yeah, she'll get under the covers, then get hot, then go on top of the covers, and then she'll decide she needs a drink, so she'll leave, and then she'll come back, and for whatever reason, can't jump on the bed in the dark. So she'll whimper and whine until one of us takes pity on her and like shows her it's okay to get on the bed, which means, of course, one of us gets woken up. So nope. Sunday night, it was every fucking hour, and then she got put in the kennel. I was mad. I was so mad.
Yeah, so ours he just sleeps in he likes to sleep in the living room. Other times he likes to be with us. But if he wakes up in the middle of the night, his ass is going like, nope. You get because he has like a gimpy back leg because he was a rescue from a puppy mill kind of thing.
Yep.
So, and we have vinyl plank floors, so his claws go, but his back feet kind of shuffle, so it's like. And yeah, at 1 o'clock in the morning, your ass can get put in the box.
Yep. Yeah. Patience ran out this week. It was, obviously, if you can't hear it already in my voice, I obviously have a head cold because I was in a house with no less than 12 children in it over the weekend. Obviously,
your immune system's not prepared for that.
Nope. They brought all the special bugs or whatever that are going around the schools now, and they're all. Thanksgiving's great. However, when you have a house with at least 12 kids in it at one point and you do everything family style, you're getting sick. There's just no way around it. Fingers going into food, and it's just, yep, we're all sharing all the same germs.
I'll have some of the sweet potatoes and the syphilis. All right, yes.
Yep. Made it to halfway home on Sunday, and Jess is driving, and I'm a zombie. I just, sleeping with my mouth open in the passenger seat, she's like, you don't feel a good deal. Not at all. And today's Wednesday, and it's still just kind of starting to get better.
The the great thing about that is all those kids were completely asymptomatic carriers. They did not slow down for 1 minute with this thing that has just wrecked you for going on a week now.
I think I remember one kid sneezing once. Other than that, no symptoms.
Yeah, for like whenever Connor started in daycare, he would which he was sick for like constantly for the first like several months or whatever. And then he got to the point that he would like sniffle one time, and then either me or Jen would just down for the count for a week.
Yeah.
Or he'd be like, we'd sit down for dinner and he'd be like, I'm not really that hungry. My stomach's kind of funny. And then like 48 hours later, one of us is just, blah, 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 oh God.
Yep. I dated a teacher for a while, and she would always bring home weird things from the school. And then Jess was in the ER, and that brought home some weird things. So yeah, it's apparently whoever I'm involved with has to get, like, now that she's in a surgery center, she doesn't bring home any more bugs. So now that anytime I'm around kids now, I get sick. So
yeah, whenever she was working in the ER, you could have faced down whatever from a kid, not cared. But
yep. Nope. Now every time I see family and kids, it's a week of sickness.
Yeah, the first year that Jen and I lived together, I would like casually get the flu shot, kind of like, whatever, it's available, and she was working in just a regular hospital at that point, and I got just like 8 days of just death. I was like, yep, okay, I guess I'm getting the flu shot now.
Yep, I prioritized the flu shot. Luckily, like every company I worked for, they always bring them on site, so that's been nice. I think the one year they didn't was like COVID year or whatever, and then Hy-Vee did it. You can just walk in and be like, I want a flu shot. Okay. They don't even look at your insurance card or anything. They don't even ask who you are. They just gave you a shot.
Yeah, my previous place of employment, we had that every year, and then the climate around getting vaccinations kind of changed a little bit, and it's no longer a company service that was offered.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, it was kind of got around to October of like 2021. I was like, I guess we're not. Okay, got it.
Yep. No, I mean, it was really nice because in Iowa, you could just go to like a Hy-Vee pharmacy and just go, I want whatever vaccination is available. And then they literally would just give it to you. Because I walked and I wanted the COVID shot, the flu vaccine, and I couldn't remember the last time I got a tetanus shot. And so I was like, I want all three. And they just did them, right? Like, I didn't pay for it. They just gave me these shots.
Yeah, so I've had like the regular doctor's office, CVS, and Walgreens all have my phone number. Texting like once every 10 days. Hey, did you get your flu shot yet? What about this? What about that? I'm like, y'all must make bank every time you unpackage one of those little syringes. It must be like $200 or something. At
least. Yeah. So if I'm mouth breathing, I apologize to all of the listeners, because even it'll
be like Adam's here.
He's invited, so if he can make it, and he'll jump in, and I'll allow him in. But we'll see. Also, follow up to last episode, which is probably like a month ago. I figured out what was going on with my internet. So, not that it was slow, because it was still 100 meg. So I went down this like crazy rabbit trail of just like my internet's not fast enough for what I pay for. And so I bought that like ridiculously big router that has the antenna sticking out, that's for gaming.
And the LED
yeah, it's got the LEDs, the whole thing. So I replaced my router with that, and it was better. But that wasn't the problem. So then I was looking into it. I was like, well, I just need more range. It's not like it's slow, because like if I'm sitting in my bedroom and I do a speed test, it's like 850. I was like, okay, well, it's clearly not that. So
it drops off quickly with distance, especially if there's walls involved.
Yep. So then what I did was I moved that upstairs and turned it into a repeater. And so then it takes the Wi-Fi signal from the Spectrum router and then just like blasts it throughout the house. And it's like now I have like perfect connection anywhere in the house. And then the weird one for me was that I had that same router or the modem hardwired to this computer that we're on right now for podcasting, sim racing, shit like that. And that should be as fast as it gets, right? So it was maxing out at like 100 meg. And I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense. It's on a gigabyte plug-in on a Cat 8, I think is what it was. Granted, Amazon. Cat 8 cable going to a modem.
So Cat 4.5.
Yeah, so everything should be set up to run at least gigabit. And it was like the thing on my computer said 100 out of 100. No, it should say at least 1,000 out of 1,000. So did some digging, realized that if your Ethernet cable is damaged in any way, like if the connection's not good, if you've run over it with a chair and it's like damaged the wiring, it automatically faults to 100 meg. And then if you really fuck it up, it drops down to 10. So, yep. So I was at 100.
You would think that a cable would just be
good
on or off, like it either connects or it doesn't. But
yep, made no sense.
I don't understand the transmission of data in the least. So
nope. And if Adam was here, he could be like, "Oh yeah, everyone knows that." Didn't know it, and it was really weird to me. And then so what I did was I just bought another. I think this is just Cat 7, and I ran it from the router to the computer. And instantly, 1,000. Everything works great. It's as fast as Spectrum provides it to me. That's how fast my internet is. Then I think I sent you the speed test like the next day after we had talked about it. And it was like at that moment it was like 650.
Yeah, a bajillion over a bajillion.
Yes, that's what I pay for. That's what I expect.
Yeah, a while back I got. You can like fall way down a rabbit hole on mesh Wi-Fi setups.
Yep.
You can spend hundreds, thousands.
Much as you want.
The sky is the limit. Everything I read said that in an 1,800 square foot house, you shouldn't need a mesh system at all. But my modem/router is in the living room, which is, it's not that far, but there's like 5 walls between me and it. And so I got just whatever generic thing that wasn't made by Amazon or Google for a mesh system, and just got 2 like secondary mesh like hubs for it, I guess. I don't know what
we'll go with hub.
Yeah, sounds good. And sometimes in the front of the house it's super fast on that one, and it's not on the base modem, and then other times it's flip-flopped. It makes no sense. But
yeah.
So if I'm dropping out, because I've listened back to some of these and I drop out usually whenever I'm trying to say something to like that requires every word for it to make sense, the key word will usually drop out. Yep. And I don't know if it's because of internet speed or because of just Zoom in general or what. But
to me, it feels like it's Zoom in general, because I never have this problem like with streaming or gaming or anything else. The only time we ever had this type of like cutout or anything like that, or like the throttling back, or like because you can see your thing, it says Dusty and it's got 3 little bars. Well, right now they turned yellow, and then it'll turn red, and then it'll turn back to white, and it's red, right? Like literally right now it's red. So yeah, I don't think it's the actual internet speed. I think Zoom is just finicky.
Speed test says that my connection is very fast.
What's the number?
So it's like 105 right now.
Yeah, see, we're both over 100. So I don't know. I blame Zoom 100%.
Yep. And yeah. So if you know any better alternatives than Zoom that even better if they'll let you record for more than 40 minutes and not charge you every month to do it.
Yep, because we pay the monthly subscription for this. For the one time we use it, And it's honestly, it's not great. And I honestly don't know what would be a better solution. So
I think the time I did a slip angle way back in the day when I was somewhat relevant to the grid life world for a moment. I think they just used Facebook.
I think I've done that. We tried using WhatsApp when we recorded with Freddie Hunt. That didn't work very well. Skype.
Is that one of the ones that had like 15 edited breaks? Okay, now we're back.
that one did, and then that one was weird too because like I couldn't get the audio right, so it was like one headphone was my audio and the other one was his audio. It was real weird. I'm glad we got that at least sorted. But open to suggestions if there is a better video. I think the problem is that we do video. Like if we just took the video away and put like the shittiest quality, it wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
So,
but people love to see our smiling faces.
There's at least tens of them on YouTube every week.
Yeah.
So,
I think my dad's one of them.
I don't know. Like it works. I mean, you just throw it up on the, you pull up YouTube and it's on your shop TV or whatever you're doing or work. I mean, it's easy to pull up at work then. I don't know. I know some people that do it. So. But yeah, I went and saw you. I went and saw you.
We did VQ thing.
So let's actually have pictures. So let's pull them up. So I know we talked about it. So I wanted to do an engine build. So the VQ, the DE especially, is not great. And so when you hit like 6,600 RPM, it just kind of falls off a cliff with the stock cams. So I was like, I need cams. And then that went down the rabbit hole of, well, then you need springs. Well, then you need rods and pistons and higher compression. Well, then you need to do machine work. And so then by the time it was all said and done, my block, heads, and rotating assembly all went to Texas, to Acme Auto, and all of the machining work got done. And now I'm going for a 9,000 RPM VQ that doesn't fall off a cliff at 6,600 RPM.
Yeah, so getting it here in the first place was kind of a funny thing because you gave it to Matt at Autobahn.
Yeah, in September.
Yeah. And then Matt was gone for another like 3 weeks.
Yeah, just like bouncing around the country
on a like I'm just jealous of the ability to just take off for a month and remain a father that is married and employed. But so I met up with him and got it. Yeah. And then we got into it and started going down the rabbit hole of, my dad's been building engines since the early 80s. But this is the first time that a Nissan VQ has been through other than just like heads for, just basic valve job type stuff. So we got it in and started, talking back and forth with you on formulating the plan of what all we wanted to do to it, and got everything lined up and in process, and found little interesting things that we didn't know about it along the way. Clark from Jim Wolf Technology is an absolute wealth of knowledge around the VQ, and we called the simple question about, do we need to worry about piston to valve clearance with this cam setup? And he said, absolutely not at all. That is a tiny cam in the range of cams that we put together, and then proceeded to just like drop a ton of information over a 45-minute phone call. Everything from like the limits on machining the block and the heads, and they've done a ton of builds on these, so they've worked their way through all different kinds of stuff, like what head bolts to use and this and that, and it was super cool. We didn't know what to expect on we've had experience with a lot of different companies of if you're buying aftermarket parts and you call them to say, hey, what does my system, what does my situation require for this? They say, tough luck. You can figure that out on your own because we're not saying anything that is going to hold us liable for you blowing this thing up, you moron. And so it was super cool. And I know, we told them that you'd bought the cams, but we didn't spend any money with them. It was you as their customer, and us doing something on your behalf. So that was super cool. Can't say enough good things about them. So.
Yeah, their website has all their information too, because it's just service bulletins basically, install guides, going to the HR head gasket and what you can do to modify the DE to utilize that and be more efficient. Just all of this stuff out there that isn't even just none of the products are theirs in a lot of those service bulletins. They're just do this. Nothing you can buy from us, but you should do it anyways. So getting a hold of Clark when I started going down this path, and then he was like, well, we can do that for you. All right, I guess we'll buy it today then. I mean, no sense putting it off.
When you call a company that makes cams and you say, okay, I want it to turn all the way to the moon and back, but I also want it to make the fattest torque curve you've ever seen in your life. And they go, yeah, we got one of those.
Yeah. It was funny because I was asking well, they have all the ones on their website and they're off their shelf stuff, and he's just like, yeah, we'll just give you a custom grind. I'm like, what's that going to cost? The same. It don't matter. It's just different numbers they put into the machine that goes and yep. He's like, it's just not a common thing everyone asks for, so we don't have it on the shelf. Oh, yeah, okay.
I think the bulk of people that are doing performance VQ things, step number one to performance VQ things is what kind of turbo or supercharger are you putting on it. And
yeah, not too many are looking to boost mid range and then just extend the RPM range. Not actually, I had no intention of gaining much power with this, and I was very upfront about it. I was like, no, I'm happy with the power level. That's kind of where I want to be. I just want more of it. I want it to come on early. I want it to come on earlier, and I want it to last till 9,000. Just that big square area of power.
I just don't want to change gear ratios, so I'm building an entire engine.
I've fucked with the gear ratios. I don't want to do any more of that. No, it'd be nice to have an engine that doesn't just bog down and die at 6,000 or 6,600 RPM.
Yeah, and it's funny, the HR, it has a 7,500 RPM red line. It's just making more noise past 67, 68. You're just basically setting up the next gear shift is all you're really doing with the RPM range on that. Looking at the head flow numbers versus the DE, there's potential there. There's a good amount of potential in the stock HR flow. So yeah, I've been looking at their HR cam listings just at it, but that's a slippery slope.
It sure is. It sure is. Plus, you've already done one of these engines now, so it's just copy paste.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess I can talk through a little bit of what all we did on everything.
Sure.
So, so Jim Wolf recommends there's a cooling modification that they do because I guess to meet emissions, the coolant flow is kind of restricted in the block by the two little walls that are up at the very front where the water pump feeds the water in. And he said that if you build one for performance and you don't trim down walls, 40 degrees hotter than the whole rest of the engine, just because there's not enough water getting back there to it. And
and so we did. Not to interrupt you, but the off the shelf fix for that is everyone goes to the Nissan Pathfinder. It's a second thermostat that goes in that little block on the back side of it. And so when you're the rear gets hot, it opens that, and then just like increases flow out of that centerpiece. Because on the 350Zs and the DEs, that plate's just blocked off. But on the Pathfinders, that same plate is now a thermostat, and then so it adds more flow. And that's what I currently have in the other engine that's in the car now. And he goes, yeah, don't do that. Leave the block off plate on there, and then just go to this HR mod. And then that's what you were describing.
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember you talking about the Pathfinder mod originally whenever you first started doing much with the car, and
it did help. It really did.
But so me being an HR guy, it's weird. It feels like the 3.5 HR is like a sweet spot. Like there's modifications you need to do to the 03 to 06 for cooling, and then I remember a lot of guys with 370s having like, especially oil temp, but also just general cooling issues with 370s. And like, I beat the crap out of my car for 20-minute track sessions in the middle of the summer in Texas. And I put an oil cooler on it out of guilt. But
sure.
I've never seen, no, whether the stock temp gauge is actually hooked to anything or not, I don't know, but I've seen it creep a little bit toward H a little bit every once in a while, but
sure.
It's a strange thing how much different like this 2-year stretch of that engine is.
Yep. Yeah, I mean the HR is a completely different animal. Like you wouldn't think it would be, but yeah, stock DE to a stock HR, night and day. Like there's a reason the DE are Club TR legal and the HRs are not.
Yeah, it's because Jabay doesn't like me.
He doesn't want you to be OP.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, we did vacation, and then we did, since it's going to be higher deck design, we can't remember what the brand is now. SuperTech, yeah, did their drive-in block inserts up in the top of the deck, so it basically makes it like a closed deck and should help stabilize the cylinders quite a bit. Then they recommend putting little dabs of red Loctite around it, and then you have to beat the living crap out of it to get it in there. So I'm like, I don't know that that's really moving.
Probably
Whether we did the Loctite thing or not.
Probably fine where it's at.
Yeah. So did all that, cleaned everything up on it, and then so you went to an oversized wide scope piston. So we've got a Rottler CNC hone that we put it in, took it out to size, and then did the finish hone on it to get the surface finish right where it needs to be for the rings that Wiseco specs. It's funny, the bore on it is really similar to what like the LS's is, so it's
almost identical.
Like the most commonly used set of stones in our hone I got to use for this. So it was we go through on the process on that. I'll take it if it's something that we're really concerned about the surface finish on a performance engine. I'll take it like halfway out to size. So if we're taking, like we were taking 20 thousandths out of yours, so I'll take it to 10 and then put in the finish stones that they call plateaus, and like stick it in the first hole and do what I think of pressure wise and number of strokes wise. And then we've got a Marutoyo profilometer that we use on it to do a trace on the cylinder texture. And it's right where I wanted it to be. Like, okay, cool. Let the sun, we these are happy. So did that with torque plate on both sides, and with all the mains torqued up on the bottom as well. So putting everything on the block as close as you can to the situation that it's going to be in when everything is bolted up and tight. The torque plate simulates having the head bolted on the top, and then your main studs torqued down on the bottom will also affect how the cylinders are shaped. So that got all that done on the block. and on the heads, went ahead and disassembled those. Did a valve job on them. All of the seats have been reground. The valves have been reground. Checked all the heights and everything. Made sure that everything was within spec on the valves after getting all that machining done. And then surfaced them. Took a little bit took like 3/1000ths off of those, and I think 7/1000ths off the deck of the block to bump the compression a little bit, but stayed within the range that Nissan says is kosher for how everything lines up on the front cover. Because if you machine too much off of the head and the block, then oil passages don't line up right, and things get real unhappy real fast, apparently. So
yeah, I don't want that.
Yeah, so that was something that Clark saved us from a little bit of a potential oops there as well. So, but yeah, it hopefully it'll all be it turns nice and free. It's got super nice Brian Crower rods and Wiseco pistons and little bitty skinny rings, and
yeah, I was talking
to Scream. So
I was talking to Joe about it, and I was like, because he had a set of Carrillo rods and pistons, and the pistons were meant for boost. So he let me cannibalize those, send them off to get inspected, and they're like, yeah, they're slightly bent. We can fix them. But it was like $1,300. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. And so didn't do that. And then so I was looking at, and he's like, yeah, you just get the Brian Crowers. And I was like, so do I get the 625 bolts? Because like that's what it, the 625 is obviously more expensive. It's meant for high RPM. It's meant for like high power, et cetera, et cetera. And then he's like, I don't know, you should get a hold of Clark. And then I didn't have time to do it, and I didn't get a hold of him. And I just texted Joe back the next day, just order them. Like if you have to ask, just get the better part. And it wasn't that much more expensive. And then the peace of mind of knowing that it's the best you can get when it comes to that. Yeah, that's not what's going to fail. So
yeah, if everything in the engine is 1,000 horsepower capable, then making 300 horsepower with it for years and years and years should hopefully all be on the up and up. So
yep. Yeah, and like, cause ARP says that too. It's like the low spec, the other spec ARP bolt is probably fully capable of handling 300 horsepower at 9,000 RPM. But it's actually not the power that gets to be the problem; it's the RPM. And so that's why for high RPM applications, that's what the 625 material is for. So it's like, well, that's clearly the goal. So let's just follow that path.
Yeah.
So again, what's a couple $100 in the whole scheme of all of this at this point?
Yeah. No, and that was like where we were. That was where we were at on like the block insert and some other things. It was just like, well, and then like whenever we talked about it originally, it was like, we're just going to swap the springs out on the heads. And it was like, they've been run. The ports are kind of dirty. It's like, we're building this crazy bottom end. It's like for a little bit more here, we're absolutely sure that the valves are sealing as well as they possibly can. So, and it's perfectly clean. Everything, all the ports don't have little carbon bits in them and things like that. So,
yep. No, it's like we kept scope creeping a little bit. Like, well, let's get this part. Let's do this. It's just kind of like. But if we're being honest, we knew going in that's what was going to happen. Like you're already this far in. It's just like things you didn't think about. So it's like. Yeah, I should do a whole valve job. Duh.
Yeah. Well, and it was one of those, like, whenever we first got them in, I was like, I think we should probably, and I think like whenever we initially got the stuff in, my parents were out of town or something. And then like a week later, my dad's looking at him and going like, he's probably going to kill me, but we should. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then a couple of weeks later, he's probably going to kill me again. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, every time you'd call or or make a suggestion, it's just like, yeah, it's the right thing to do. Like it is what it is.
Yeah.
Like if I didn't want to do it the right way, I wouldn't have even started down the path at all. So, yeah. So obviously you're in Texas and I'm in Ohio. So getting the engine back to me was going to be a bit of a challenge, and we knew that going in. So like my plan was always to try to scumbag Jess's family to do Christmas or Thanksgiving at. Well, they used to have a lake house. They don't anymore. But when they had their lake house, I was like, we could just go to the Ozarks, and then we could just have Christmas and Thanksgiving there, which would put me like 6 hours from Dallas. And I was like, I can just disappear for one of those days and go get it. And then they were like, well, we can do Thanksgiving at the farm. And that's in northern Missouri. And that's 9 hours from Texas. It's like, well, that's not quite going to work. So luckily...
and then so we set Thanksgiving weekend. It was like, yeah, we can get everything, and we got everything wrapped up like a week out from that. So it worked out perfect. And then we're discussing what our schedule is for Thanksgiving weekend. And you're like, well, I'm free on Friday, but not on Thursday or Saturday.
Yep.
And we've got tickets to the North Texas football game for 2:30 on Friday. I'm like, you're 9 hours away. I was like, so we started trying to plan some other weekend for us to meet halfway. And it's like, there's not a good halfway between here and Ohio.
Nope.
One of us is going to end up driving 10 hours and one of us is going to end up driving 6 hours or vice versa. And I was like, you know what? We'll do it on Friday, and I'll do it in a way that I can be back here by noon to make it to the game on a reasonable schedule to not get hung up in parking chaos or anything like that around the stadium.
Yeah, because like and Jess and Jen were like trying to figure out a way to like, we could just do like a weekend where we could just meet somewhere, and then like this would just be a good excuse to have like a couples weekend. And then you're just like, okay, then where are we going to go? Jackson, Mississippi.
And we're going to have a couples weekend where we spend, 12 to 18 hours each driving to hang out basically for a day.
Yep. It made little to no sense. Plus then you have, the cost of a hotel, and it's just kind of like that turns into $1,000 weekend real fast. And then it makes no sense to just not ship it. So luckily I was able to convince Jess that it was okay for me to escape family time on Friday because we didn't have anything planned on Friday. We had family stuff all day Thursday and all day Saturday. And I was like, well, Friday's a perfect chance for me to just escape all of you people. And so luckily I was able to scumbag you.
I mean, it's a real hard decision to step away from family time, but
so the plan was that we would meet. Well, actually, I tried to find if there was a place somewhere between me and you that had a Buc-ee's. And
that was so yeah, after we'd been discussing the weekend thing, I was like, this is dumb. We just both need to get up at the butt crack of dawn or earlier, significantly earlier, and just meet somewhere in the middle that cuts it off where I can make it back down here in time. I was like, this is silly for us to try to do a weekend thing. So, and then the initial thought was, okay, where's the closest Buc-ee's? And it turns out not in Oklahoma.
Nope, it's in like I think Springfield was the only one, but even then it's like way out of the way for you, and it's still technically out of the way for me, and so it just added a bunch of time, so that wasn't an option. So we settled on Tulsa
so the lesson there is that Buc-ee's will take plenty of Oklahoma money, but they're not paying Oklahoma taxes to do it.
Yep. So we settled on, what was it, 7:30 in the morning at the Golden Driller in Tulsa.
So I'm like, what's in Tulsa? Oh, the Chili Bowl where they race the tiny sprint cars. What? There's a big statue there. Yeah, let's do that.
Yep.
There's not a Buc-ee's. I need something with a statue in front of it to replace my Buc-ee's experience.
Yeah, so we're sitting there Thursday, or what we talked about before that. But yeah, basically I told Jess, I was like, yeah, we're going to go down. We'll get there early Friday morning, and I'll just, I'll marathon it, and you'll barely even know that I'm gone. So for those keeping track at home, northern Missouri being at least 6 hours away from Tulsa, and I need to be there at 7:30 in the morning. Alarm is set at 1.
Suboptimal.
So
I was positively sleeping in with my alarm that was set for 3:45.
Yep. Yeah, so we did family day all day Thursday, and we're sitting there watching TV, and Jess is like, are you going to go to bed? I was like, well, Z1's Black Friday sale doesn't go live until 9. It's already 8:40. Like, I'm obviously going to wait till 9. And of course, like, there wasn't anything worth buying, but whatever. Yeah, I didn't buy a single thing on their website. So once I scrolled through their Black Friday sale, realized I wasn't going to spend a penny. I was like, okay, I'll go to bed. Woke up at 12:56 on my own because I'm sick in the head. Rolled out of bed, looked at the temp and saw it was 19 degrees. Started Jess's car, waited, and then took off. And so basically you drive through all these back roads of northern Missouri to get to Kansas City. And then you take Kansas City down whatever that highway is. Yeah, whatever. I take that highway down to Tulsa. And so I didn't want to wake anybody up, so I didn't make any coffee in the morning. And I was like, okay, I'll stop when I need a quick break. I'll get coffee. And at that point, I'd made it to Kansas City. I was like, okay, I'll wait till I get a convenient truck stop right outside of Kansas City, right as I get on this highway. It'll be perfect.
So it's never good when you put directions between two places in on Google and it has an airplane route. That's not a good one to be at by 7:30 in the morning, turns out.
Nope. Yeah, so I made it through Kansas City, and I was like, okay, the next truck stop, that's my jam. I'm ready for a monster. I could use a sandwich. I need to just wake back up. And between
you were on Highway 169.
Nice. Yeah, I was gonna say I wanted to say 69, but I didn't think that was right. Yeah, so I was on 169 going south, and as soon as you leave Kansas City, there's not a truck stop or gas station open throughout the night. It's not 24 hours because it's not an interstate, it's highway. So everything for the next 2 fucking hours was closed. I didn't stop to get coffee until 4:30. I was over it. And so I finally pull into this tiny town.
At least caffeine deprivation also makes you really irritable.
Oh my goodness. I was so mad at myself. I was like, there was stuff everywhere in Kansas City. And I just ignored it. I was like, it's slightly out of the way and inconvenient. You know what I really want? The one that's 2.5 hours from here. That's what I want. So yeah, 1 till about 4:30, no coffee. Stopped. And then I found this real tiny town. They must have just opened. So the old lady that was working there was putting out the sandwiches because they had just been made. So I grabbed one of those and I grab a Monster Rehab. For whatever reason, coffee didn't sound very good at that point. And then, yeah, it's just me and these old timers that are showing up to get their 4 a.m. coffees because that's what they do.
They've been up for an hour already.
But they're looking at me like, who's this freaking weirdo? Just rolling through our town. Then I get down to the Golden Driller, which is at their event center or whatever. And so I beat you by maybe 15 minutes. So I pull over and grab a coffee at Starbucks, and the girl's like, "Are you here for the BMX thing?" And I was like, "What BMX thing?" "Oh, there's a big BMX thing." And I was like, "No." And then I was like, but I'm so out of it. I'm like, "Well, funny story." And I'm telling her why I'm here. And it's she doesn't care.
She was up. She'd been drinking coffee since 4:00. She was good.
Yeah. And I was like, "Well, I came from Missouri." I literally told her why I was there, and she just glazed over. Never mind. But yeah, so then I pull over and I'm sitting in the parking lot and I'm catching up on Black Friday sales that I'd clearly missed. And again, didn't find anything worth buying. And then I'm Googling, there's so many freaking people here. Why are there so many people here? And apparently Tulsa does this National BMX Extravaganza Week competition over Thanksgiving week, which is really strange to me. So like they show up on, I think it's Sunday or Monday, and then they do racing, like on dirt BMX racing inside the event center the whole week. And then Friday and Saturday are the championships. So when I roll in Friday morning at 7 a.m., the parking lot basically full of people camping. And then
it's
everyone,
like 70% of them are Sprinter vans with bike racks on the back.
Yep. And then the doors open at 7. So like I roll in there just as everyone else is like trying to get into this place.
Yeah. So the dates for this were Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Thursday being Thanksgiving.
Yes.
The schedule Thursday was 6:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. Bring your turkey.
Wild. I mean, racers will race, I guess. I mean, we, like, who's to say we wouldn't do the exact same thing for a grid life?
Yeah. Only if it was in Ohio.
That's fair.
So we could have got in to watch for $20, apparently.
I almost walked in just because I wasn't sure how long you were going to be, and I wasn't sure how early I was in comparison. But I also didn't want to walk up there and be like, yeah, you got to pay. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I just want to sightsee. I just want to sightsee for like 6 minutes.
Yeah. Not that committed to this.
No.
Tiny like middle school BMX racer me. Yeah. I was a couple blocks away and there was a van pulled up next to me that had 2 bikes with number plates on them on the back. And I'm like, oh, what's going on here? And then as I was rolling up, I was like, oh, they must be racing. Yeah. As I got like in view of the parking lot, I was like, they're big time racing. Yeah. So it's the USA BMX Grand Nationals is what it was called.
Yep. This would have been like the ultimate goal for what I was doing when I was 14.
Yeah. Yeah. But so we had a BMX track in Sherman for like 2 summers, I think, whenever I was in middle, like I was like 13, 14 probably. And I had the world's heaviest Haro freestyle bike. And
Fancy guy with the Haro.
Yeah. Dave Mira rode Haros, bro.
Oh, I was a huge Haro fan. I'm still a huge Haro fan. Like to this day, if a Haro monocoque pops up on Facebook Marketplace, I'm probably going to buy it. Should I? No. But like 14-year-old me will not let me pass it up.
So yeah, I had like whatever the most entry level Haro style bike was originally. It had single piece cranks and I like bent them from riding it so much. I got coaching at the BMX track on that bike, and the guy that was coaching, like, he rode it for a second, and he was like, "These cranks are jacked, dude. What have you been doing?" I've been jumping it all the time. And so I ordered an aluminum frame, like race frame, and tried to transfer everything over, and nothing fit. Nope. This was my first lesson. And then ended up having to save my money over the next like month or 2 to get wheels, and like it was just one thing after another. Like nothing worked. Finally got it all built and rode it for, I don't remember if it was 1 summer or 2 summers, and then the city got crossways with the guy that was running the track, and they just bulldozed the whole thing and never spoke of it again. So had a really sweet race bike that I couldn't take anywhere without driving like an hour to get down to DeSoto or Fort Worth to ride. But
yes, the closest track was like in Laverne, and that was like an hour from us. So like a group, like a couple of us, like we're too young to drive ourselves, so like their dad would take us every once in a while. And of course, like we weren't actually racing; we just all thought we were.
Yeah, the one race I remember doing, I got smoked by like an 8 that was like, they were wearing full like sponsored kit and stuff, and like there was like an 8-year-old girl and a 10-year-old boy, and they like finished an entire straight ahead of me, and I was 3rd, and they got an envelope with money in it and a trophy.
Well, all right then.
Yeah. And then I think shortly after that they got mad at the guy, and then it's like, nope, we don't do BMX business anymore. So
yep. Man, it's like to this day, every time I see like a Dan's Comp catalog or like the website, it's like, oh man, that brings me back.
Yep. So we took Connor to the one in Fort Worth, like the summer before last, I guess. No, it was last summer because they do Strider races for like 5 and under. And
Strider's the bike without pedals.
Yeah.
Okay.
Balance bikes. Yep. And
Okay.
He liked it the first time a lot, and then the second time we took it, he was still taking naps at that point. He hadn't had a nap that day, and things went south very quickly.
As they do.
Yeah. And we haven't been back since, and now he's in this weird like in between stage where I'm not sending him off of a start gate on a bike yet, but he's also riding a pedal bike on his own. So I don't know like where he falls at this point. So, but if he gets into it very much, then there's also going to be a 24-inch cruiser on the shopping list too, because I'm not just watching. I'm going to be doing also, and then we'll find out.
Yeah, this is where we need to meet in the middle because I got that Trek now, so I could totally get back into BMX.
Yeah, and I still vividly remember trying to actually clear a jump at one point, and I had a bad thing of anytime both of the wheels of the bike got off the ground, I just become a statue. And
that doesn't help.
No, like the one time I tried to clear one of it wasn't anything big either. It was just like a single, like on the last straight. So it's nothing very big at all. And I think cased it into the face of the landing and like ended up sitting on the top tube and dragging my feet and just like, yeah. Doesn't mean I don't want to do it at age almost 40, but
oh no, I've mentioned it multiple times that I'm now within driving distance of doing a day trip to Modern Skate Park in Royal Oak, Michigan. So I need to just kind of grab my skates and go up there because I haven't done that in like 10 years, and I fucking love that skate park.
Nice.
So maybe that's what I'll do this winter. Just, random February, on Saturday in February, I'll just head up to Detroit, ask the Knacker if he wants to hang out for a bit, and I'll go skate and pretend I'm 14 again.
And then remember,
Yep.
Falling down sucks.
Yep.
So yeah, my drive was fairly uneventful getting up there. So I had a lot of time to ponder this, obviously. So my truck, I drive 50 miles each way to get to work and back, and it's on a fairly busy highway, and it averages like anywhere from a little over 20 to nearly 21 miles to the gallon. And so I'm like, I'm going to set the cruise and just drive for the majority of this, other than like the small towns you have to go through getting up through Oklahoma. And I'm looking at it a couple hours in, and it's getting like 18.3 miles per gallon. I'm like, what is taking place here? And I couldn't decide. Am I pulling a headwind? Is it because I'm climbing to get toward Tulsa? I don't know, like what was taking place. And then after getting up there and turning back south, I know I was bucking a headwind, but it was still just like that 18.3 or something like that. Like a terrible mileage on that tank compared to what it normally gets. And I don't know why. I haven't driven it in like legit cold because I got it toward the end of February, so it wasn't like super winter down here. So I don't know if the cool dense air is just making it use more fuel or.
Well, that I guess, do they do winter fuel in Texas? Like, do they change the chemistry of it so that it don't you normally get worse gas mileage in the winter because it's winter fuel? Maybe that's an urban legend that I'm totally like buying into and never actually have looked into, but I'm pretty sure that's a thing.
Yeah, I haven't heard it for tech because the tank before this,
right?
Like it was perfectly normal. I did fill it up like a decent ways up into Oklahoma, but it was it was getting the same on the Texas gas that it was on the Oklahoma gas. So I don't do. So one of the other thoughts that I had was I'm almost around other cars whenever I'm driving in my normal commute. So I'm getting draft.
Yeah. I mean, 21 with the truck's pretty good.
I'm never just, it gets way better than what I was ever expecting out of the 5.3. So I will not complain even about 18 and a half. Old one got like, if it cracked 16, it was a good day.
Yep.
But like, I had the funny thought of like, well, I'm just running in clean air, and it's just having to just face the whole brunt of it versus running in the wake of semi trucks and F-250s and everything. So I don't know. It was just, you got 7.5 hours in the truck to kind of like think about things. So
Yep. Yep. I got totally caught up on Track Walking Podcast, and then it was just music after that.
Yeah, I took off and I had a podcast on, and it's like, okay, 4:00 in the morning, driving through rural Oklahoma. We need some energy here. So I opened up Spotify and was like, I don't want to have to pick something. I want it to just do it for me. What is going to provide me with some energy? System of a Down, radio. All right.
That'll do it.
So by the time I had worked my way back down to Texas, I had heard most of the first Limp Bizkit album. I had heard a lot of a good amount of System of a Down and a lot of other just random
new metal.
2000s alt metal rock type stuff. So
I was not too far off of that. I've been back on Bullet for My Valentine, so I've been back into that.
Yeah. I came to a realization as I'm hearing all these Limp Bizkit songs. I was like, man, this is still awful. Like it's not good. But damn, nothing before or since has sounded like this. Like it was a moment.
Yep. It's a vibe.
Yeah. Yeah. Nothing keeps you awake on a long road trip like brake stuff.
Yep. That or Scott Robertson's sultry voice.
Oh, yeah.
That'll keep you going. Yeah. So the only thing that I had that wasn't just a drive down, hand you a envelope of cash to pay for half of it, and then take the engine and leave. I noticed on the way down that I actually drove through Garnett, Oklahoma, Kansas. Sorry, Garnett, Kansas. And for those that might make that, if that sounds familiar, it's because that's where they have the Lake Garnett Grand Prix Revival and that racetrack that goes through the park. So I used that as a stopping point on the way back. Grabbed another Monster Rehab, for the record, not the actual energy drink, and then just like decided to take 15 minutes to just putz around this park and see the actual.
Put in some flyers, baby.
I put in a lap. I did actually put in a lap, but I wasn't like actually doing it. But plus the Bronco is not great for such things.
Not even with the extra weight in the back to kind of balance things out a little bit.
I guess I never tried. I also didn't want it to go rolling across the back of the because it wasn't
part of that track's over a bridge, right? Over next to the lake.
Oh, the dam. It's like it's over a dam.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, it's cool because it's like it's literally through the park, and the park is like it's completely paved, and like you can see what the actual track is. You just kind of pull in, and then you just drive a circle around the track. And it's got a little placard that that shows the historic Grand Prix 1959 to 1972. So it's cool to finally see it because I've always wanted to go down and do the event and just have not been able to do it. And we always talk about like doing it, we never do. So I would like to make it down and actually drive a car on it. But also super wild to think that they would shut that track that park down and then race cars through it.
That's what I watched. One of the years that it was being discussed seriously, I watched onboard video from a guy in like an MG that probably made 60 something horsepower, and it looked horrifying.
There's a lot of things that you can get yourself in trouble with, and like the turn going onto the dam You could really screw some shit up.
Yeah, and it's lined with. It doesn't have a wall. It just has little like
Pillars.
brick posts. Yeah.
Yep.
I was like, man, if you like lift off oversteer in the wrong spot, this is going to be really ugly. You might end up in the lake.
Yep. Yeah, I have the course on Assetto Corsa, so like I've done some laps in it, and it seems sketchy on Assetto Corsa, and turns out to be that's probably exactly how it feels in real life, maybe worse. That being said, I'd like to go back.
Kind of like a lot of other things that we've talked about. Seems like a good place for a fit.
Yes. Or something even smaller.
Yeah, the MG Datsun 1600 kind of like buzzy, angry 4-cylinder roadster kind of thing. That feels like the appropriate vibe.
Yep. I mean, like the course itself is kind of cool. Like I think it would actually make a pretty decent track. So I mean, it would be super fun. And then like this Garnett's just this tiny town, and then they have this really nice big park. Like so, it's like you have like a swimming pool, and then like baseball diamonds and tennis courts and a skate park, which isn't very big, and then the lake, of course, and then you have the course that goes around the lake. Then you have a golf country club that's like on the other end of it, and it's like this whole like recreation complex, and it's like half the size of the entire city
for a town of like 3,000 people.
Yeah, it's really nice, and it takes up about half the size of the town. So I definitely want to go back. And then the only other stop I made was at Waffle House in Kansas City, because I hadn't had lunch yet.
Yeah, I was kicking myself because my original thinking was that I just needed to cannonball it to get back home and then scoop up the wife and the kid and then get to Denton to go to the football game. And then like halfway up there as I'm sitting at a stoplight and like, because Denton's on 35. Like if I can, to 35, this drive is probably not nearly as interesting as it is coming up here. And it puts me in Denton at the time that I thought I was going to be at home. And had I really thought through all that, I would have been like, hey, let's get Waffle House now.
Yeah, it crossed my mind, but I knew you had a game to be back to, and I was just like, because there was that Route 66 diner just down the road. I was like, well, that'd be kind of cool. Yeah, I'm not really hungry right now, and he's got to get back.
Yeah, and I also kind of think the fact that I was just running on coffee and like a bag of trail mix was probably helpful for the 4 hours to get back to Denton.
Yeah, fair.
I don't know that a plate of waffles or pancakes would have helped my energy level.
Yeah. No.
Plus, I know we get to talk on Zoom all the time anyway.
We have a scheduled meeting all the time.
Yeah, this is basically like Waffle House.
Almost as good.
Yeah.
No, then just got back. Then there was still a bunch of kids in the house. And then...
oh, no, he forgot to give me the bolts for the thing. I got to go back. I'm sorry.
Well, because Jess was kind of giving me a hard time before we took off, like before the whole event or the whole weekend. She's like, you're just going to bail on like, my family stuff. And I was like, we're going to be there for like 5 fucking days. I'm taking off one of them. And again, I'm driving through the night. You're barely going to notice that I'm gone. And sure enough, I left at 1 a.m. I was back at the house by 2 p.m. Most people slept in until at least 9, 10 p.m. or 9 a.m. I was like, you barely noticed I was gone. So, yeah.
The things we do.
Yeah. What a stupid hobby. And then, then of course, like everyone's there. So we're just watching football and hanging out. And I made it to about 11 p.m. before I finally went to bed. Didn't quite do the 24 hours, but totally normal behavior.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and then on the same thread of you waking up at 12:56, my alarm was set for 3:45, and at 3:36, my eyes just went bing, and which is something that I'll do like I'll do it before a trip, or I'll definitely do it before a track day. And yeah, I just like, well, I'm not going back to sleep. That would be a dumb idea for
Right.
9 minutes. So
Yep. Nope, I did the same thing because like I think my original alarm was set for 1:15, and yeah, at 12:56, it's like, well, I'd rather get there early in case I run into something, and then yeah, plus it was super cold, and it was supposed to snow, so like the sooner the better, because yeah, we got dumped on with snow later that day.
yeah, I was in the road trip mindset of just like buckle down and just get up there. And then as soon as I get up there, I was like, all right, buckle down and get back to Denton. And I'm like, I got back down there and I was like, oh, you idiot. It was the same kind of realization that we had the first time we drove to Vegas for SEMA with the car, and we were like, we'll make it to like Flagstaff, and we went to Flagstaff, and it was 1:00 in the afternoon because of the time change. Like, oh, I guess we'll keep driving because we've been on the road for 9 hours, but it's only like it's mid-afternoon. Got it.
Oh, that's awesome. And then I was texting Booney. I was trying to scumbag him to come meet me in Kansas City for lunch, but he would not do it.
You think you have friends?
Yeah. I mean, I literally invited him to Waffle House. I was like, hey, man, I know I'm only like 2.5 hours away from you. We could get lunch. Wasn't having it. And then I gave you and your dad a bit of a scare today when I sent you a picture because of course the engine's here. So like I gave it we had snow on, what did I do Monday? Oh, Monday I just kind of like put it on the stand, kind of went through some stuff. And then Tuesday we had a bunch of snow. So I just spent all after work until I decided to just be in the house. I was pushing snow and dealing with crap. And I also came to the conclusion that the the lawnmower with the snow blade on it that E-Man sold me, there's no fucking way he used it as it sits because it didn't push snow for shit. So I was like, I fought with that stupid thing for a while. But I got my driveway cleared, but yeah, it took, and because Jess gets home and I was like, she's home late. And it was like 6:15. But it felt like 8:15.
Yeah,
like
but it's been dark for 2.5 hours at that point. So
like,
might as well be
because I started at like 4:30 and I got done shortly after 6. But it felt like 8. I was like, I've been out here all damn day.
Yeah,
I hadn't been. And then yeah, today I put the heads on. That's what I did Monday. I took off like the cover for the gallery gaskets, and then started cleaning up the timing cover stuff and like just getting everything kind of ready. Plus, I was kind of like out of my head because I was sick on Monday, so I was just kind of like, let's just not do anything critical, like because if I fuck up the head gaskets, or like I'm gonna be really mad at myself. So let's just do something that's not gonna cost me any money if I fuck it up.
No torquing head bolts.
Yeah, nothing with risk involved. So cleaning up.
We're not gonna time it right now.
Yeah, we're cleaning up gaskets. Like that's all we're doing today. So that's what I did. I got that. Got it on the stand. Got everything kind of organized. Cleaned up the gaskets. And then the upper oil pan I needed to like properly degrease and clean, and I hadn't done that yet, so I did that. Then snow. And then today was put the heads on. And then the other day, I don't know if it was it was Thanksgiving, like when I was over at Jess's parents, or if it was this week. Before I had taken the plastic off the engine, I was thinking to myself, did I send the oil squirters down? I bet I didn't. And so then today, once I get all the plastic off, and I go and I dig through like the box of all like the baggies with all the bolts in it and all, whatever. And I was like, sure enough, there's a baggie with oil squirters in it. So I set it on the toolbox. There is a chance that this is from the other engine, because like I had 2 engines that were disassembled to create all the spare parts for this engine. So like I have a bare block sitting in the corner, and then like I thrown away all the junk parts off of the one, and then it's like I've taken the best of each engine to create the engine that we're building right now. Because at one point I had 4 VQs. Right now I only have 2.5.
you're the VQ Dr. Frankenstein. There's just arms and legs and brains just sitting around everywhere.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
You're just waiting for the lightning storm.
But yeah, so I was like, well, maybe these are from that other engine. I just have spares. So I take it, I get everything all unwrapped, and I flip it over. It's like, nope, no oil squirters.
Nope.
So then I sent a picture to you, and I was
remember that part where we don't build VQs every day?
Yep.
Well, and we just don't like. I'm throwing this out there big now. We don't typically do short blocks. So.
Yeah, I kind of made you guys scope creep on this one.
Yeah, it was one of those things that everything that it's being taken 16 hours away. We don't want something dumb to creep up in the assembly process that was overlooked or not thought through or whatever else. So it all made sense for it to be together rotating assembly wise to make sure that everything was happy before it left us. So
yep.
I had whenever I was looking over the block cleaning it up, I saw the little threaded holes in there for the oil squirters, and I thought, oh yeah, it's got oil squirters, cool. And that thought flittered away into the wind like a tiny butterfly.
Yep.
And so yeah, whenever you sent that picture this afternoon, I went, oh no. And then my dad was standing there, and I said, hey, guess what?
Yeah, because I sent you a picture of the squirters in the baggie on my toolbox, and I said, guess what my dumbass forgot to send you? And at this point, I had not confirmed whether or not I could install these in the engine without pulling the crank or pistons or or the rod, doing something, disassembling. And I had no intention of doing that. So lucky for me, if you rotate the crank, it does give you just enough access that you can, in fact, install or remove these if you had to. So what I did was I used one of those flexible grabber things, like you squeeze the button together and then it opens the four metal arm, like the claws, basically. So I wrap the claws around.
One of those things that Harbor Freight has up next to the counter, and you go, "Oh, I'd never use that."
I use the shit out of that, worth every penny. So yeah, I just kind of wrapped it around the ring of the oil squirter, and then fished it down in there, and then it's got like a pin in it. So then you just kind of like drop it into place, and it like self centers. And then I used a magnet because of course the squirters are made of aluminum and the bolts are made of some sort of steel, so they're magnetic. So then you take the good magnet and then you fish it down in there, and then you just kind of spin it just enough to get the first thread started, and then you pull the magnet away. And then if you use your inch-pound torque wrench because of course I don't have a 12-point socket in 1/4 inch. I only have it in 3/4 inch. Learned that today.
Or 3/8.
No. Half. Sorry, half. It's 1/2 inch.
Oh. Okay.
So I have a long extension for my 1/4 with an adapter to a 3/8 with an adapter to a 1/2, and then my socket. And it still fit. And yeah, and these are so weird because it's like the torque spec is like 8 foot-pounds. Nothing. Which doesn't seem like enough, but whatever.
Yeah, that's what you get whenever you take a 3/8 ratchet and you just kind of bump on it a little bit.
Yep. Yeah, it was 8 foot-pounds, because of course none of the torque wrenches I have go to that low, or I use my inch-pound, and that's 104 inch-pounds. Or 108 inch-pounds, whatever it was. Yeah, actually it was pretty painless, but it was nice to give you a quick scare, like, oh man, we fucked this up. Well, I fucked it up, but easy fix.
No, we should have. That is something that that is something that should have occurred to us at some point. But
well, it occurred to me at least 2 months after I had sent you all of the things, and then also mailed you things in the meantime before it finally occurred to me, hey, the oil squirters are not with the engine block. Why it occurred to me after I had already got all of the stuff put together and back in my possession, no idea. I'm just sick like
sometimes that. as we so over the years we've come across a lot of things by happenstance, like finding something on a magnetic drain plug that had being left to its own devices would have caused catastrophe. It's better to be lucky than good.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and
also sometimes your brain has some self-preservation built into it.
Yep. Well, it's kind of like thinking through the order of operations, because it's been a little bit since I've taken these apart, and been even longer since I put one together from the nothing to full. So I was trying to what's the most logical way to put this together? Like, I have the rotating assembly. What's the next step? And so for whatever reason, that's where it popped into my head. Don't forget the oil squirters. And then from there, heads, and then, is the oil pan last? What's the order of operations? I was kind of going through the FSM, and for whatever reason, that jumped out at me. But yeah,
that would have been no bueno.
Yeah, that would have been real bad.
I bet it makes no oil pressure if it doesn't have those in it.
I bet. Well, yeah. Again, I've had these apart so many times. I know where everything goes. I was just trying to so I would have noticed if I had the baggie that had them and it wasn't in the engine, but and then of course I'm obviously I'm taking my time, so I'm not just trying to slap this together and miss something. So I'm double checking everything.
Yeah, so you sent me the thing that they had not gotten sent with it, and we're sitting here going, oh no, well maybe you can take one, and which also we look at V8 stuff all the time, so our brains look at a crank journal and there should be 2 rods right there on the journal, and I'm like, there's no way he's getting that up in there. But I forget that the V6 setup is different in how everything is arranged and how the rod journals are relative to each other and everything. So yeah, it had a nice, not super convenient, but convenient way to get up in there. And also with it, because it's got a big girdle on the bottom of the mains too. I was like, that's going to be in the way too. Oh no.
Yep.
Oh no.
It was about as much of a straight shot as you could ever ask for.
Yeah.
It was because of the stupid adapters, getting everything to kind of line up, because you had to kind of take a weird approach to go around the counterweight of the crank. But other than that, it was shockingly straightforward. So I'll take it.
Yeah. So then you sent me the picture of it installed, and then the pile of tools that it took to do it. And I said, oh, thank God. My dad's convulsing on the floor still. I'll give him a minute to twist before I tell him that it's all good.
No, I was worst case, you kind of just do some disassembly and put it all back together. But I really didn't want to do that. I knew there had to be a way to install those. So
glad it didn't end up being a bigger.
No,
he said after I told him that everything that you'd gotten him, he said, I on another motor.
You cut out. Go back and say that again.
I said, he said, I bet I will never forget to check for those on another motor that we do a short block on.
Yep. No, so that's the thing. Is when you fuck something up once, you typically don't do it again. You remember, even if it's minor, but if you know it's something you forgot, you.
Yep. Ideally not. So. Yep.
Nope. Anytime I torque head bolts, I remember the time that I pulled the threads out of that LS.
Man, so whenever we first got it down here, I was checking the main bores just to make sure that everything was on size. Before the bearings were here or anything, checking bearing, just making sure. We're trying to, basically trying to decide if we need to get it line honed or not. And so it's like main cap, girdle, wash, and running the studs down in. On the stud, I put it on the.
Man, our internet is not helping at all today.
Oh no!
All right, so it goes main caps and then the girdle, and we're missing something, right? Well, we might be editing this in. All right, are we back?
I switched over to the other network.
All right, perfect.
Not editing anything out. What are you talking about?
You're right. I'm not editing it because you didn't completely drop off. No, I'm not editing it. Maybe, probably. He's still there. The video's still moving. There's no more audio. Nope, we're red again. God damn it. We're doing so good.
Yeah, this one's definitely worse. Let me switch back.
I can't believe it lets him switch without completely shutting it down.
Okay.
You're back, and it's perfectly
Are
clear.
we back?
You're perfectly clear.
Okay, so the first time I go to torque the mains up to check the size on them, there's two per cap, and it's like I think they go to 70 foot-pounds.
70 foot-pounds sounds about right. Somewhere in that ballpark.
I'm doing like 25, 50, 70, I think, or something like that. Or no, it might have been like 20, 40, 70 or 20, 40, 60. Maybe it's 60. I don't remember.
Something like that.
Second step, like the second one that I do, I'm moving around, and we got a digital torque wrench that also tracks angle, so we can do that for torque to yield stuff. And it's forever and a day long. And I don't like it. I haven't used it enough to get used to it. And at the 40-pound step, I get around and it's at like 34 pounds, and then it gets easier.
These are the things you don't tell me until like days later.
Yeah. And then I move over to the other side, and it kind of feels the same way. So I just go grab him. I'm like, I don't know. I'm
panicking.
It's aluminum block, and it's a big deal no matter what, but it's an especially big deal whenever it's somebody that you personally know. Okay, I'm going to tell you the good news first. The good news is we've got threads. The bad news is it took us a while to get them back. And so it turned out that I just didn't have enough. The way that, so like some of the ARP washers are knurled on the bottom side where they don't turn. Like they dig into the head, and then the only thing that turns is the nut on the washer. And these aren't. They're not knurled. They don't have a top and a bottom. They're just washers.
Yep.
And it reached a certain point that it started to turn the washer as well as the nut, and it just made it feel weird. Like the second time we went back with it to check the clearances with the bearings in there, he just slathered it on there like it was going out of style, and everything felt fine past that. And like the studs have like 2.5 inches of thread in the block. So like there's not like, unless something has gone horribly wrong,
yep,
like there's really not that good of a chance that, unless somebody has just really screwed it up in the past.
Right.
So it all ended up working out, but it was one of a couple of different things throughout the process of this that I just went, oh God, I don't want to make this phone call.
No, because every time you called, I never once assumed anything was wrong. I assumed that the scope creep had just gotten more expensive. I was like, oh,
there's the money phone.
Yep. What am I buying? Oh, shit. But yeah, nope. Looks like it's all going together pretty good. Hopefully by the time this airs, I'll be at least 90% of the way together. The biggest thing is like I wanted to get the heads on today so I could put the valve buckets in and then get those measured to the cams, because I got to make sure that those are all matched up, which is, I don't remember ever doing that on the first build. So the fact that I've run it for 5 years without ever actually checking that, and there's no fucking way they're in the right spot. So that's, I mean, again, better to be lucky. But this time,
sometimes what you don't know maybe might hurt you, but maybe it won't.
Maybe it's not as big a deal as they make it sound. But yeah, so I'll make sure to get them all measured. Because, like, again, another one of the upgrades is that if you go from the 0304 DE and you go to like an HR or even the new like 3.7 liter HR, they have coated buckets. And so there's like a fraction of a percent more slippery to them. And so it actually like opens up a little bit more horsepower. So like if you're doing this build, you're supposed to go to the buckets of the HRs, which of course are like ungodly expensive, and you need 24 of them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I have a set, not new, but they're like mint condition, and so I'm going to use those to size them, and then if any of them, like if I need to get replacements, then I'm only buying a couple rather than 24. So,
well, they're only like $40 each. I mean,
you can get them for $25 a piece, but yes, they're very fucking expensive.
But then there's going to be a $25 tariff on them. So,
did I complain on the podcast about that? The tariffs?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
I think we discussed all of your parts costing like 3 times what they would have because of
it was a $9 part with a $15 tariff and a $30 shipping. Yeah, yep.
It's going great. It's going great.
Oh, everything's fine. Yeah, hopefully I have most of it together by the time this airs, and then the only thing I'll be waiting on is the buckets, and then I can put it all together, and maybe I'll post a picture about it because I don't post on Instagram ever.
Sweet.
And the other thing I've been up to is because I can't sit still, I completely tore into the 300ZX that's been sitting in my garage for the better part of a year, and so kind of had forgotten about a lot of the details of it. So completely gutted the interior. Kind of got a pile going of like good parts and bad parts that I've been doing between the donor car and this car. So I have a full interior that's ready to go. The only thing like I need new carpet. I completely threw that away because it was gross. And then the seats I'll replace. And then took off the whole front end, took off the fenders, took off the bumper. Got the engine harness out, and then completely paint prepped the engine bay. So it's all basically sanded and ready to go and scuffed. So it's just needs, primer and paint, and I have not ordered that yet. And then again,
is that going to be? Will that be body color, or are you just going to do it?
It's gonna be body color. It's getting a full color. Everything's changing. Keeping it blue, but a different blue, similar but not the same. I had one picked out that was very similar to, like I saw a picture. I was like, yeah, that's the color. And then I walked out to the shop. I was like, yeah, the reason you like that color is the same fucking color as the 350Z. You're not painting your car that.
Was it the blue that they run on the 6th gen Camaros? Because
similar. It's the blue that they run on the Jeeps.
Okay.
So it's got a hint of purple to it. It's like, it was really cool. I was like, yeah. Like at first I was convinced I wanted it purple. And I kind of talked myself out of it. And I was like, well, the car's already blue. Everything's blue. So I don't want to spray, like, granted, I'm going to spray every body panel, but I was like, I don't want to do, I don't want to do
doing all the jams and everything else.
So that's good. So, and I've never sprayed a whole car myself, so I'm kind of excited to take on that project. But, so my buddy Josh is going to be getting phone calls and being like, hey, what did I fuck up? I
painted it, but now all the paint's on the floor. I'm not sure what I did.
I've at least done enough where like I know the right steps. So, but yeah, the quality is what I'm going to need some coaching on. And then, but like it's so painfully similar to like the 240SX, because like a 95 240SX and a 92 300ZX, very similar, as you can imagine. So when I'm tearing it apart, it's like, God damn it, this feels familiar.
I've been here before.
So, but what's wild is that
We're skipping straight to the LS this time, though. We're not putting an SR20 in.
Nope, not doing any Nissan bullshit. So, because like I'm standing there today looking at it, going, I have a good VQ in this car, and I'm building this VQ, so I'll have two good VQs. But like they don't make a kit to do VQs in 300ZXs. It's not a thing. They just like the geometries are no good. Like it's so much easier to do an LS. I'm like, well, all right, well, let's keep this as a spare. Maybe we'll just set it aside and worry about it later. But like I'm tearing out the interior. I'm kind of digging into it, cleaning everything up, because again, this car's been sitting for years and years and years. And so like as soon as I pull up the carpet, I see a bunch of wires that are clearly not factory. I'm like, God damn it. It's just like the 240SX. So I trace them back, and it's like to this weird module behind the driver's seat. I'm like, what the fuck is this? It's a module for a bag phone.
Oh, that's way better than where I thought this was going.
And so like I trace it, and like the wires, it just goes behind the seat, and it's like this like a bundle of wires, but it's just like technically only like 5 wires, and they all plug into like one thing, and then. So it's got the module, and that feeds back up into the center console, which has been snipped already, because it doesn't. The only thing it goes to would be pieces that no longer exist in the car. And so I pull that out, and then see that what's left is 3 wires, 2 powers, 1 ground. The ground goes to an actual ground on the car, on the chassis, so it's not spliced into anything. And then the other 2 are on those like fuse jumper things, like you shove that piece of metal next to your fuse, and then that feeds the power.
So the whole thing is only connected to the car by one little self tapper.
Yes,
on the ground.
Correct. And even and then they actually use the ground from the actual harness. So like they just use the actual piece of it. So I disconnect that and just like throw it away, and then I'm looking at like. This car has an aftermarket head unit, but that head unit has a jumper, like an adapter connector. There is not a single cut wire in this entire car.
Well, you can fix that. You can start cutting wires, buddy.
I'm not cutting anything. It is immaculate. So I put a hook a battery up to it. I'm just kind of like seeing like what works, what doesn't, like because it's been sitting, like could be anything, right? And so first, right off the bat, it's like, well, I don't hear the fuel pump even trying. So I dive down that rabbit hole. It was like, well, it's the reason it doesn't do that is because it's got like this weird relay that has to go through the ECU, so it's not going to send the signal without the ECU, and obviously the ECU is not there. So it theoretically should work just fine. I just don't have a signal. So then like the radio doesn't turn on. So it's like, okay, well, what the hell? So I spent a bunch of time probing, ignition wires and trying to figure out where everything's at the fuse box. All the fuses are good. I have all power at the fuses, but for whatever reason, the power doesn't go from the fuse box to the radio. And why I thought this was a priority on a car that doesn't have an engine, no idea. But once I realized it was broken, I couldn't let it go. And so I'm like tracing it back. I'm checking every wire. Like there's no cuts. I'm like, did a mouse get in here? Is it bit somewhere in the dash? Like I cannot find anything wrong. And so after hours of just like diagnosing and getting really frustrated and like following the logic, because I have a service manual for this. I'm following the wiring diagram, like seeing where it runs, because like one of the signals runs through like for the illumination stuff, goes through the dash, so that goes up into and takes that signal from like when you turn the lights on. That's all working fine. Everything ohms out just fine. And so what I find out is after much screwing around, that the reason I'm not getting power is because I have power at the both ends of my fuse, but it's not connected enough to send the power all the way to the radio, because that little jumper thing that they had shoved in the middle had spread them. had spread the fuse box thing wide enough that it wasn't making a proper connection. So I spent hours diagnosing this, only to be like, oh, fixed it. Oh, stupid. Yeah, so
like it's like chasing an EFI problem on a car for 4 months and then realizing that it's the cam gear,
yeah,
or distributor gear.
Yeah, just stupid stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's nice to know that there's no cut wires, like there's no bullshit like there, and like it was like it's just something real dumb. But like, yeah, so theoretically, an LS swap harness, because I don't want to dick with it, I'm just gonna buy a plug and play harness, because like then it's just you hook it up to the engine, you hook up your battery and your alternator and your starter, and then you just connect the connector that connects to the body harness, and everything just works.
Yeah,
that sounds great because everything's there. I don't want to screw with it.
Yeah,
because I did think about going down the path of like, I can just do my own harness. I've done that before. I don't want to. I've done it. I don't want to. I'm gonna take the easy route. The other, I said
the keeping it a functional car. Part of the engine swap is the expensive part.
Yeah, it is.
That's I went down a rabbit hole of like, I want to get a lightweight flywheel and clutch and a couple of other things, and then a tuner for my Z. And I totaled up about $3,000 worth of stuff and decided like, that seems like kind of throwing money away if I'm eventually going to maybe LS swap this thing. How far does $3,000 get me? Oh, it basically gets me the headers and the wiring harness, which is about 10% of what's needed.
Yep. Yeah, you can get the swap kit without drive shaft, without headers, and without harness for that. Or one of the things you mentioned. Yeah. Engine doesn't exist yet.
No, yeah. Engine. Looking at, and it's one of those like LOJ has all these just turnkey, like here's the ultimate package where this is everything you need to have a functional car with air conditioning, and it's fully integrated with the factory gauges and everything else. And it's like $9,000. And I thought, man, that sounds like a lot. And then I started adding things up separately. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, they've kind of done their homework. And
that's what it costs.
About $9,000 worth of stuff now that I see it. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, you can do it cheaply, but you're going to work your ass off for it.
Well, and it just, if I was just building a race car, then I would just hack everything out of it and just do a Terminator X and mount that on the top, mount the dash for that on top of the steering column and be done. But I want it to still be a functional car. So
yeah, like I have no track aspirations for this car. Like it's strictly street car. Like I just want to build it. I build it for fun. Kind of hone my auto body skills again. Just
get some parachute pants and drive around listening to Vanilla Ice.
Hell yeah, dude! I've always wanted this. Like, this is the car that I wanted when I bought the 240SX. You know, not counting the GTR that I wanted, but like, I always thought the 300ZX was that next level up, and I was like, oh, they're too expensive. I couldn't get one, so we got a 240. So now I get to finally live out my 300ZX dreams. So completely starting from scratch, like same thing that I did to the 240 and just like gutting it and starting from scratch. But I'm excited about that. Oh, one other fun fact. Fun fact. I guess for you, how many airbags does a 300ZX have?
Ooh. It's probably a higher number than what I think.
Is it?
Does it have one down on your legs?
No.
Does it only have one?
One. It has.
Yeah, your passenger can get screwed.
Yep. Nope, because it has like all the wiring and all the modules and all this stuff. Like, so it's got sensors in the front. It's got the module up under the dash. It's got sensors in the back. It has a steering wheel airbag. That's it.
And the only reason, because I was pulling up because I couldn't remember, it just has analog gauges, right? It doesn't have anything crazy digital.
No, just
okay,
just
So I had been looking to try to find a picture of the gauge cluster, and I have a picture of the dash up, and I looked over at the passenger side and saw there's no lines over there or anything. It's just a smooth dash, which
Style-wise, it's great.
In fairness, so is the 350, but it's like perforated underneath it.
Yep.
So that all splits whenever the airbag, in theory, comes out, unless you've removed it.
Yep. Yep. So like, well, and so like on those in the American cars that have the airbag, that steering wheel is big and ugly, and I hate it. And if you go to the pre-1991, because in 1990 and I think maybe the first iteration of the 91s, you could get the 3-spoke steering wheel.
Oh, that's hot.
I bought one. There was a dude on Marketplace that had one for sale for a while, and I messaged him and I was like, "Hey, do you still have this?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's kind of beat up." And it's like he's clearly being hard on himself. So he sends me a video of it, and I was like, "That is not beat up at all." And he's like, "We're like, well, what do you do? Like, did you ship it?" "Yeah, I'll go to the store and get a quote, or UPS and get a quote." He's like, "Yeah, it's gonna be $18 to ship it." I was like, "Yeah. I'll PayPal you right now." But yeah, they look so good. And so now mine's going to have no airbags, but it's going to have like the coolest looking fucking steering wheel. Because like you can get the steering wheel here that had the cruise control stuff in the wheel, but I already have cruise control on the or on the console or the column. So yeah. I didn't need the buttons. I found one that doesn't have the buttons. I think it's the Japanese market one. I only paid $100 for it.
Yeah, I just searched 300 or 300ZX JDM steering wheel, and yeah, that is substantially better than the
again
the airbag.
Why I prioritize that before the engine is a whole different conversation.
Oh yeah,
but it came available, and I was like, I can't miss this opportunity because like you can get them for like $300 all day long, but I wasn't gonna do that.
And also, let's be real. It's safer to not 34-year-old.
All right, you cut out, but I think what you said was it's safer to not rely on a 34-year-old airbag.
Correct. Yeah. As a veteran of owning a GMC truck that had a Takata airbag in it, I can tell you when it's safer to not have an airbag.
Yeah. So that'll be here by the time this airs. Like it was one of those things. Like I was kind of like half-heartedly searching. I was like, maybe I'll just save this on eBay, and then like if one pops up, I'll snag it while we're building this car. And like one showed up on Marketplace that day. I was like, that's a third of what all the other ones are going for. Okay. So yeah, no like Black Friday deals, but I did get a steering wheel for a car that doesn't have an engine. But whatever, it'll eventually have an engine.
Yeah, one thing at a time.
Yep. Well, my plan was to have this I was like, well, I'm just I'll get all the stuff to spray the engine bay, and then I'll work on the engine. I was like, yeah, but that's gonna make a mess of the shop. So like I'll get the engine done first. I just can't sit still. So it's like as soon as I get done with one thing, I'll jump onto the other thing, and just there's a ton of work I can do on the ZX without really spending a whole bunch of money. So
yeah, a lot of sweat equity to be put in on a car from 1992.
Yep. Love it. Yeah. That's all I've been doing. Just working in the shop. That's going to be the what I'm doing for the foreseeable future. A lot of the same.
Yeah. My only recent project was to add weight back to my car.
Kids don't change anything, dude.
No. So for, I guess, probably 5 years, I've had 2 fixed back Cobra buckets in the Z with 5 points because it's got a roll bar that we built and put in it because I decided at some point that if I was, or no, I remember exactly when I decided that car needed more safety equipment, and it was as I was doing 130 miles per hour on the front straight at Texas World Speedway, which was a 2.5 mile NASCAR track, and dropping off of the banking, and I was wearing my 3-point belt in the stock seat. I was like, this is dumb. This is real dumb.
Yep.
And it took a while after that to get it, but we built a 4-point roll bar for it with a harness bar and put 5 in it and put goods. It's 5. He's 40 pounds, which is right at the and a stock seatbelt. And I've taken him around the block some and gone and run around like in the warehouses next to our house with him in it, with his tiny little self in this big seat with these 3-inch wide 5-point belts on. And I'm like, if something happens, none of that is doing anything productive for him, and I'm going to feel really bad about it.
Yeah.
So a couple weekends ago, I had the idea, because I've still got the stock seats, and so I went and grabbed one of those and yanked the Cobra out of it and dug through all of my spare parts boxes that have all the things that I've pulled off of the car at various points, and found I don't know if it was the passenger side or the driver's side seatbelt. I think I determined that it was actually the passenger side. I think they're interchangeable, but
Yeah, probably.
got it bolted back in there. And after like doing some internet research and figuring out how like there's this weird stack up of stuff on the top belt that doesn't really make sense, and that I don't know if it's specific to like the 07, 08. It had this weird like hanger thing that like sticks the belt further out from the B pillar.
Oh, yeah.
And it would like, you could like clink it down or like pull it up and it would lock into place. And it just like, it puts the belt in a spot where you can grab it easier is essentially all it does.
Oh, okay.
And it's got this, there's like 6 or 7 different things all stacked together between it and the side of the car.
I like how they've never changed that. That's exactly how they did it in the early 90s. That's how they still do it today.
Yeah.
There's no better way to do it.
Yeah. So like I got it all put back up there, and then that piece is loose and it's rattling, and I'm like that. This car rides so rough. I'm just going to hear that all the time.
Yep.
And pulled it back off and ditched that part of it and just clipped one side of it and pulled it off of the belt. And it sits up there around the roll bar better without it anyway. So it worked out. So I got all that put in there and got a booster seat, and I haven't taken him anywhere yet, but I feel slightly less like a total scumbag of a parent looking over at him in a factory seatbelt than I did looking at him with a 3-inch 5-point belt that I installed myself. So I don't know if it's like fully technically legal for him to ride in that configuration based on some research that my wife did, but I'm not like,
Of course she looked that up.
I mean, she was just, she's a social worker. That's what she does.
On what? Texas is... There's no way Texas cares.
Small government Texas, yeah.
Nah, you're
like,
right.
right?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But I've seen people at Cars and Coffee with kids in car seats in the front of old cars. So like,
You're fine.
I'm not worried about anybody giving me grief over it. And I feel much better about the configuration for his current situation. So, and I left it to where I'm 20 minutes away from having that seat out and having the Cobra back into it and, the 5 points through it. So if I get in a situation where I'm going to go be on track and I have a chance of somebody being in the car with me, I can have equal safety gear back in there for a passenger. So.
Yeah. Yes, and you have all the things, so it's like you can just hot swap them now. So it's not a big deal.
Yeah, it's because it's ridiculously easy to change the seats out in that car. Like whenever I was messing with adjusting the brake master cylinder linkage one day, I'm in there like crammed into the seat upside down with my back all screwed up, like up under the dash. I've got a on ratcheting 9/16, which works perfect for a 14 millimeter.
Uh-huh.
It just and like literally 10 minutes, the seat is out of that car. So there's no reason to work on anything under the dash with the seat in that car. And I remind myself that like once every couple of years, but
Yeah, you got to try it the hard way first and then be like, oh, yeah, duh.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. But so got that back in there. I want to just haul him around to some cars and coffees and stuff and just be able to take the car to the car thing with my kiddo. And so I'm excited for that.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
I did the same thing you did. I looked around on Black Friday and like the clutch package that I want wasn't eligible for discounts, and the tuner through Z1 that I'm kind of toying with $dollars off. So like it's not nothing, but $100 wasn't like oh man, I got to get it like right now kind of thing, because it at the end of the day it didn't work out to be that big of a percentage off. And but I did suck it up, and I put an ISR exhaust on it a while back, and it actually made it quieter than what my original just muffler delete turn down setup was. And I've kind of been like, it sounds good, but it's just super mellow.
Yeah.
And I kind of need it to be more VQE. So
it don't take much to do that.
Yeah. So it's resonated, a decent sized muffler at the very back of it. It's that the high flow cats that I ordered for it maybe won't change it, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But it's also got 29,000 miles on them, so I'm thinking that it might actually like free up a little bit more power with it to get some fresh ones on there that are the high flow style, that it's basically just a resonator versus a
Oh yeah, that'll make a huge difference.
full standard cat. So
Yeah, that'll definitely make a big difference.
so that'll be one of my winter projects. Yep.
And then slowly going down the race car rabbit trail.
Yeah. And then yeah, still my dad he's got both sides of the headers all welded up on the car. So
Nice.
On the Camaro. So I'll keep plugging away at that. I got the main hoop designed for the roll cage. So we're going to do like the outside bars of the cage and get those kind of roughed in and start working on a floor and seat mounts and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, that'll start coming together quick.
yeah, it's still a daunting amount of fab work if you stand back and look at it for more than 2 seconds. You're going, but what about but this, like, I think of how we're building the floor and the transmission tunnel for it. It was like, okay. He was originally talking about building this kind of like square tube structure,
Sure.
under support the floor, and I'm like, well, we're going to be putting a lot of tubing in here in the form of the roll cage. Like, let's because the rockers and everything are kind of staying how they are. Like, let's start working on roll cage and then figure out how this all integrates with cage to where we're not adding additional big heavy things that we may or may not need. So it's a giant, I took a programming class in high school, and part of that class was just doing logic problems where, everything depends on the last thing and the next 5 things. And it's just like a giant logic problem on a frame table.
It really is.
And trying to determine, like, okay, we need to do this, and this, but making sure that this doesn't screw this up and lead to problems with this. It's something, but
Yep. At least when you make that phone call, you're just calling your dad. Be like, hey, let's add this.
oh yeah, that's how we've ended up with a dry sump and a couple of other
Yep.
It was like we just ran an AccuSump on the old engine, and turning a small block card and making it pull G's is one thing, but doing it with an LS and an AccuSump is kind of hit or miss from what we've seen. And it's like, yeah, we could just call Dry Sump Solutions, and they can hook us up with this daily system, and we just won't think about how much that ended up tallying up to be, and it will be rock solid no matter how stupid we get.
Yep.
So
buy once, cry once.
Yep. So,
yeah.
It'll hopefully get more stuff done to it through the winter, because there's not much else to do other than look at it be cold outside. So
yes, it's so cold. My condolences.
Uh-huh. 50 is cold.
I don't disagree. You know what is cold? 19.
Yeah. No, not for me.
But we did a pretty long show for walking into this with no real plan.
Yeah, we said we don't have that much to talk about, and then yep, here we are.
Yep. So clearly we've been doing more than we led on to believe. So
we didn't even get into the grid life schedule. So
no, we can talk about that next week or eventually.
Yeah, next week.
Yeah,
Sounds
we'll
like
go.
a good
Yeah,
plan for
next week we
Yep.
can talk about it next week.
Yep.
All right. Well, it was good catching up with you again.
Yep.
It was good to see you, and
Yep.
we'll catch everyone else next week.